What's up, my gravity followers, and welcome back. Yeah, that was a really bad pun if you didn't realize it. Gravity followers, I don't know where I was going with this. I had a point, but anyways, we're back to swooning over stands. Remember, we're doing the Ford route, and this is dungeons, and more dungeons, I think. Yeah. Alright, so let's just get on into this and play dungeons, and more dungeons, shall we? After the expedition to find Mothman, you accompanied Ford on a few other missions, so to speak, examining various birds of the forest, including the questionable stomach-faced duck, who snatched your sandwich and quickly ran off Ford in hot pursuit. Oh no, not the sandwich! Why would they do that? Why would the stomach-faced duck steal my sandwich? That wasn't very nice. Well, he didn't find what evidence he needed, something to do with their digestive systems. You both decided that the stomach-faced duck flock were questionable. Not as questionable as the question quail, which he shows you from a scanned journal page, but still questionable all the same. You asked why he decided the octopus was too stupid to study, but received a loud groan and too sticky as an answer. Valid point. Oh, and before we continue on, don't think I don't notice that triangle thing up there. I notice it. It's Bill. Get the fuck out of here, Bill. Get the fuck out of my sight before I demolish you. Also, if you didn't know, that is actually a quote from J.K. Simmons, who also voice acts Ford. There was a point where I forgot the show or whatever it was that he did it in, but he did say, "Get the fuck out of my sight before I demolish you," and that's one of my favorite J.K. Simmons quotes. And I laughed so hard when I imagined Ford saying that. Alright, anyway, back to topic. Yes, back to the dating sim. All in all, your adventures with Ford have been more enjoyable than you had expected, and you can't help but hope that you'll get to experience another one with him soon. Aw, yes, I want to experience more. Take me with you, Fordsy. Take me adventuring with you. You walk through the living room, lost in thought about question quails and Ford's journal pages, and narrowly avoid slipping on a sheet of graph paper. Ah! Don't look! Oh, it's you. Dipper peers out over a book that proclaims DD&MD, officially licensed campaign journal. He's sitting on the yellow armchair with crisscrossed legs, barricaded in with books and papers. He's got a lap of multicolored dye and a half a dozen chewed pencils strewn across the floor and one in his mouth. You look down and notice the floor is almost entirely covered in graph paper. Hi, did you need something? I know it's kind of messy. I should probably clean that up. Dipper looks reluctant to extract himself from his self-constructed fantasy lore prison. Here, I can do it. You look busy. You're about halfway through cleaning the floor before you actually start looking at what's on the various sheets you're holding. A fantasy map, some floor plans, and countless scribbled notes and calculations in the margins. What are these for? Planning something? Dipper's re-immersed in his planning. He startles a little when you ask. Oh, right, no big deal. It's just for this great pen and paper role-playing game called Dungeons, and More Dungeons. DD&MD for short. It's all about fantasy worlds and statistics and swords and, well, it's kind of difficult to explain, but it's super fun. I'm playing it with Grunkle Ford today, so I'm just putting down the final touches on my dungeon. He's gonna be so stumped. Stumped, you say? Ford comes into the room at that precise moment, drying his hands on his trench coat. Perfect timing, Dipper. I just managed to get the paint off my hands. Paint from what? Oh, one of the gnomes came by and decided he'd graffiti the side of the house. Something about his rapper persona. Yeesh. Yes, I don't think G. Gnomesy is going anywhere in the music business. In any event, I see you've been hard at work. Are you ready for our game? Yes, and oh, Rose, I can take those now. Thanks for the help. Ford looks like he just noticed you standing there for the first time since he's entered the room. Rose, glad to see you weren't too shaken up by our adventure yesterday. You grin and hand Dipper the stack of papers, catching a glimpse of the stats for a knock-knock skull. Well, I made it back in one piece, right? That's the spirit, though 90% of a piece would have been good too. You know, you never realize how little a difference 10% makes until you lose it. So how was the Mothman? Shaken up, all in the name of research. Though I've seen it lose a few moths and come back the next week good as new, a process akin to cycling out dead cells. I would say we just expedited that process. No moral issues there. Well, Rose, the game calls and I must answer. Stanley's about if you're looking for him. Though, well, if you wanted to join our game, I certainly wouldn't object. I can promise a fun afternoon. Another player? Yeah, totally. I can give you my pre-made character sheet to start and die. Shoot, where'd I put my other set? Don't worry, I've got an extra set. Me? I don't even know how to play. Oh man, there are so many rules. Where to start? I mean, it's really easy to pick up. It's even, like, kind of popular now. You're not sure about committing the whole afternoon to this game with Ford, though Dipper does seem pretty excited about it, but Stan's around too, and you wanted to go check on your car. Well, think about it, Rose. Dipper, my boy, why don't you and I get things set up in the meantime? Ford and Dipper launch into fantasy lore talk as they prop up a corkboard against the yellow armchair, pin up various maps and floor plans with important landmarks, and append their pouches of dice to the carpet. I will ask to join their game since I'm doing a Ford route. Great! Oh shoot, did you look at the plans earlier? Those were for Dungeon Master's eyes only. If only I'd known you were gonna join us. Don't worry, I didn't look. What a relief. No, wait! What if you're lying to get an edge in the game? Is this legal? Grungle Ford! What? I didn't hear. I was just categorizing these DD&MD books. How many volumes do they have these days? Dipper and Ford put the final pieces in their place. The floor is encircled in a mix of propped up corkboards, books, maps, notes, and loose leaf paper. Ford unfolds a game board in the center of the madness. Brilliant! We're all ready. Don't look so nervous, Rose. You'll have me here to walk you through it. It's okay, Fordsy. I won't need you to walk me through it. Oh, no. I've totally got this. Totally. Oh, I'm just gonna wing it and hope for the best. Ford sits down next to the game board. He passed the piece of carpet next to him, inviting you to sit down. And you do. Ooh, my, I'm sitting next to Ford. Oh, my. I don't know how to feel about this. Dipper sits across from you on the other side of the game board and unfolds an illustrated piece of cardboard, popping it up in front of him. He notices your questioning gaze on it and looks back at you. Oh yeah, this is the Dungeon Master's screen. It's just there to protect my secrets. It hides essential die rolls and plot points from prying players' eyes. Grungelforge tried to look ahead once or twice and spoiled a narrative twist, and you were the only player. I'm just making sure my Dungeon Mastering apprentice stays on his toes. You can never be too vigilant. Dipper gathers up his die in a pile next to the DM screen, ready to roll when needed. Now, I mentioned an extra dice set, didn't I? Dice are an important, though by no means essential component of gameplay. No adventurer should leave the house without a set. I keep mine in this souvenir velvet dice bag from Dimension, local game store. Yes. Oh, poor Forzie's trying so hard not to let on to the player where he's been. Oh, but we all know where he's been. We know what happened. We know. It's okay, Forzie. You can tell me. I won't judge. I know where you've been. Forge retrieves a dark drawstring bag from his coat and empties it onto the floor, where die of all different shapes and sizes come tumbling out. And now for yours. Ford pulls another matching drawstring bag from the depths of his coat. They were having a buy one get one discount. Go ahead and take a look. These will be yours for the session. You pour these dice onto the carpet as well, metallic gold with the numbers embossed in black. Fancy. While I didn't have enough left to make them from solid gold, I was able to set for fun. Great Uncle Ford, you electroplay those dice? They're so nice. That didn't mean to rhyme. Maybe you should be the one with the rapping career, not Gene Nosey. Ford and Dipper laugh. Yeah, maybe not, but anyway, let me reintroduce our characters. Dipper clears his throat, settling into the Dungeon Master persona. When we last left our heroes, Miff the Meddling trapped the Great 11 Wizard Vernan and the Halfling Fighter Tyros in a dungeon filled to the brim with puzzles, riddles, and brain teasers. To reach Miff and end this journey once and for all, they'll have to brave the dungeon's mysteries and escape with their lives intact. Dipper sits two figurines side by side on the game board. One is an imposing figure in flowing robes, and the other is much shorter in comparison, but posed with a will to prove himself. You suppose the former is Vernon and the latter is Tyros. But what would our two heroes find in the first room of the dungeon but a potential ally, just as trapped as they are, who will join them in their quest for freedom? Dipper places three figurines on the carpet just off to the side of the game board. And you get to choose your character now, Rose. These are starters of pre-made templates, so they're good for short notice editions like this. I will be a human bard. Bards use invigorating song to encourage their allies or the blow of their insults to damage their enemies. I've kind of reevaluated my stance on bards lately. You'll come in handy if we encounter any undead. Will we? Hey, stop trying to play ahead. Yes. Dipper moves your figurine onto the board beside Vernon and Tyros. Alright, what's their name going to be? Alex, short for Alexandrios. You hear Ford trying Alexandrios out under his breath a few times. I'll just call them Alex. Here's your character sheet. It's got all the info on it. I see. Our heroes encounter Alexandros, Alex for short, in the first room of the dungeon. Alex, what's your deal with our main villain, Miv the Meddling? Miv murdered my family and now I seek revenge! 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 Sorry, I got a little too into character there. Alex explains how she struck Miv's ire, and in turn, Tyra shares that Miv once bested him in a duel, an embarrassment because Miv is a sorcerer, and sorcerers aren't known for their physical combat skills. In Tyra's defense, he was still young at the time. But none of this matters, because to finally face down Miv, they must escape. Behind you is a plain door. On the far wall of the room is a set of red doors, and to the left and right are old stained glass windows with weirdly familiar motifs on them. Having woken up here with no recollection of getting here at all, you have no way of knowing which door you came in, should go out of, or even what direction you should head in at all. And now you guys decide what you want to do. You might want to look around first. And by that, of course, we mean rolling a die to see if we can notice anything. The outcome of nearly every substantial choice we make is tied to the roll of a die. I'll let you choose what to do here, Rose. Then I'll take a look around. Ford shows you what to roll for the investigation check, and Dipper flips through his notebook, ready to tell you what you see. Huh, a nice roll. Tacked to one of the walls of the room is a note that reads, "Proceed with caution, homies." Tyros pockets the note, and in the distance you hear the faint sound of rushing water. What do you do next? What's the state of the door behind us? See for yourself, I'm still the DM. I can't respond unless you check the door. Well, as the three of you step through the door, it melts, seeping into the walls. It was never there. Guess we're not going back that way. The chandelier overhead ignites, casting the room in a warm orange glow and revealing an impressive door on the far wall. In front of it is a large covered lump. Head straight for the door. There's only one way to go, and that's straight ahead. Wait, what are you going to do about that lump in front of it? It's blocking the door. Set it on fire! Whoa, what? Do you even have a tinderbox? You check your items list and you don't. Guess not then. Hold on, I'm still a wizard with a couple of cantrips prepared. If I use this can of gasoline in my inventory first, I can cast a spark that will light it into a full fire. Oh my gosh. Okay, so you light the lump on fire. It burns for a few seconds until the lump shifts and rises with a cry of pain. You suddenly realize it was just a sleeping goblin all along. Oops. Sorry, goblin. A bright light surrounds the goblin and it disappears, whisked away by a teleportation spell. With the goblin gone, all that remains is the door. I cast Detect Magic the door. The door is steeped in magical energy, and you suspect it's what's keeping the door closed. You follow the energy back to its source, a brass knocker in the shape of a lion's head, which begins speaking. To unlock what lies beyond me, tell me, what is it you desire? Which one of is it talking to? The lion's head looks past Vernon and Tyros and towards Alex, its eyes glowing ruby red. What is it you desire? Power, friendship, wisdom, nothing. Eeny, meeny, miny, you. Nothing. The lion's head is deeply offended. Nobody wants nothing, but if you say so, then my purpose is futile. Begone, homies! The door swings open and Vernon, Tyros, and Alex step toward the next room. What made you choose that answer? I couldn't think of anything that was sure to benefit the party as a whole, instead of just my character, so I forfeited my choice. Nothing was exactly the answer I was looking for. You solved my lion head puzzle, Rose. As soon as you enter this next room, the wall melds over the door, sealing you in. Glancing around the far wall of the room, it seems to be of different material and color than the rest, though it could just be the lighting. To the left, you see rows of orbs asphyxiated to the wall. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by his tail. If he hollers, let him go. My mother told me to pick the very best one, and you are it. Inspect the far wall. You look at it and confirm that it's different color than the rest. Can I knock on it? You see Dipper give you a small smile, knowing what you're looking for. You knock along the wall and find that one section sounds hollow. As soon as you realize that, the next knock opens up a gap in the wall, which reveals itself to be a door. Go through the door! As soon as you enter this room, you're struck by how different it looks from the rest of the dungeon. This small chamber is elaborate, with colorful cushions, rugs, and a dining table that holds a half-eaten feast. Next to the feast, a mouse examines a few empty goblets on the table. The mouse sees the party and beckons you to come into the room.
There's been a crime. Someone has stolen my precious silver sword. You three look like heroes. Won't you help me? When I arrived in my room, I found these three suspects, a gnome, a kobold, and an owl bear. I knew someone was going to come in and try to steal my precious sword, so I set up a wondrous feast as a trap for thieves.
You and Ford share a look at the idea that a mouse would somehow be living it up in an evil sorcerer's puzzle dungeon.
I left them 3 goblets. The first held a true serum, and the other 2 a lying serum. I don't know which one of these creatures drank from which, so I was going to hold an interrogation when they woke up. But now you're here. Oh, heroes! Won't you help me figure out who stole my sword? I'm afraid that if I uncover the culprit, they'll slay me in cold blood, delicate mouse that I am.
Well, alright. Took the words out of my mouth. Rose, let's get on with the interrogation. You approach each sleeping creature in turn, waking them up with a few shakes and asking them who stole the silver sword. The gnome says, I didn't do it, the kobold did it alone. The kobold says, I didn't do it, the owlbear did. And the owlbear says, I didn't do it, the gnome did it alone. It is the gnome and the owlbear, good sir. The mouse looks dumbfounded at how fast you figured it out, but soon turns her attention back to the thieves.
Nice job! Now cough up the sword, you thieves!
The owlbear digs within their feathers to reveal an ornate, polished silver sword, and the gnome retrieves a matching scabbard from under their hat. The mouse looks down at the returned sword happily and then looks at the party.
I realize now that keeping this sword is more trouble than it's worth. Here, you have it. I've only ever used it as a conversation starter because it can only cut through silver. Perhaps with you it'll finally have some use.
The mouse bestows the silver sword upon your party. You move forward, leaving the mouse's room behind, and come to another doorway. While Dipper's flipping through his notebook for the next part in the dungeon, Ford nudges you, holding up a hand for a high 6. That was a nice job, Rose. I'm impressed you got the riddle. Is it hot in here, or is it just a side effect of the green glass door disintegrating? You high 6 Ford beaming as Dipper finds the page he needs to continue the game. Oh dear. Through the doorway, the air feels damper than before. The sound of rushing water from earlier has only intensified. On the wall to your left, you see a bell. I ring the bell. It may have been a trap, or it may have been the right thing to do, because the floor opens beneath you and the 3 of you land in a boat. It hovers above the rushing river below, ready to start its trip on command. Dipper takes a folded piece of paper from his notebook and hands it to you and Ford. It reads, next step upstream, beast antechambers 3 giant strides away. Next stop downstream, the mirror room 3 giant strides away. Get off the boat at your own risk. I'm guessing we don't go to the beast antechambers. Can I check the river's speed? You find that the river flows at 2 giant strides per tip of the hourglass. So, when do you want to stop the boat? I am pretty sure... I don't know. I suck at math. Let's see, okay. 3 giant strides away, 3 giant strides away, 2 giant strides. Okay, 1.5. I'm 1.5 tips of the hourglass. Nicely done. Yes. Thank you. I was so nervous about that. I didn't know which to choose. You command the boat to take you 1.5 tips of the hourglass, following the flow of the river. The boat comes to a stop at the entrance to a hallway, and the three of you step out onto a familiar stone floor. Burning torches line the walls, lighting the hall brightly as you enter. As you walk forward, you notice your steps are visible in the thick layer of dust on the floor. This place smells old. At the end of the hallway, the party approaches a set of 2 giant oak doors. Rose, roll to see how aware you are of your surroundings.
You roll and are unsuccessful.
Oh boy. Alex steps on something, a trap panel set into the floor. You watch in astonishment as a ghostly skull floats out of it, rising to about eye level, just in front of the oak doors. You expect it to speak or do something, but it just floats there. What do you do? Inspect the skull. The skull looks non-human, but you don't know enough to say what species it is. Inspect the door. You don't know much about doors, but you can tell that these ones are giant oak and that there's 2 of them. Open the door. Just as you are about to touch the door, the skull speaks.
Knock!
Its voice is loud and booming enough to match the grandeur of the giant oaks behind it. Vernon knocks on the door. The skull asks,
Who's there?
Answer the skull.
Spell. Spell her!
W-H-O. Dipper grins at the classic. That is terrible. Okay, next, the skull demands more joke offerings. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
2.
To who?
It's to whom? This one gets Dipper to laugh, whether through the sheer smugness from Ford's voice or otherwise. Alright, you both pass. The door opens and Mabel bursts through the doorway.
I knew it! You always make those voices when you're playing your nerd game. Rose, you're playing with them too? How's homework the game?
Actually, we're telling knock-knock jokes. Mabel gasps.
I could be all of you. Get ready for this. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Clean clothes.
Clean clothes who?
Yeah, I thought you'd forgotten what clean clothing looks like.
Mabel, jeez, we're in front of a guest right now. Mabel laughs and leaves again, but not before directing you a pair of finger guns.
Good luck seducing that hot elf.
Dipper calls out after her. That hot elf isn't even in this campaign. Anyway, like I was saying, it's joke quota met. The skull gives you a curt nod and floats back into the third panel. Well, trap panel, sorry. The oak doors open and the 3 of you step through. To freedom. And there it is, the end of the dungeon. I cut it down a bit on the fly. I didn't want to make it too long. I would have ran a murder mystery I've had planned out for ages, but my test runs have never, gone very well with my focus group. So, what did you think?
So, what happens next? When do we fight the sorcerer?
This was actually a transition into the next super plot-centric campaign about infiltrating the sorcerer's tower castle. Dipper shows you a couple of pages of his campaign book, which looks to be filled with various dungeon sketches and realistic physics calculations crowded into a very spare space. Well, Dipper, I think you did well. It's not easy adding in an extra player on such short notice like that. I always write it in just in case, not completely, but just a few notes. Ford and Dipper launch into a conversation about dungeon mastering as they clean up the DD&MD set, returning the game components to the original glossy fantasy box. They're too fast in practice for you to figure out how to help, so you just pick up the die Ford lent you and return them to their original velvet bag. Dipper leaves to put the DD&MD box upstairs, and then it's just you and Ford. Rose, you did well for a first-timer. I'd take you into a dungeon with me. Ford gives you an embarrassed smile, but you're already smiling at him yourself. I know what you meant. Thanks, Ford. A call comes from the kitchen from what sounds like Stan. Well, I'd talk more, but I better see what he needs. Ford moves past you, heading towards the kitchen. You suddenly feel the need to hold on to this moment, like you need to say something. Ford? Yes? Now that he's looking at you, you don't remember what you were going to say. All you say is, "Here's a set of dice back. Thanks for letting me use it." Ford chuckles, shaking his head. "No, you keep it in case you decide to join us next time. See you at dinner, Rose." Okay, well, that's it for now. I'll see you in the next episode, and oh my gosh, did I really just do 30 minutes of this? Oh boy. Anyways, peace, love, in the sky and the stars above. See you later, my gravity fallers. Bye!